Alright, thought I'd do one last video just for today before I disappear off and continue drinking beer, just to show you around the retro room. It's coming along. It's a bit of a work in progress, but yeah, it's coming along quite nice. That's some of my favourite games up there, a few of my fave specky games, a couple of classics on the Amiga, my old Nintendo Wii, which I need to plug that back in, a couple of classic TI-99 games, Frogger and Protector 2, great games. That's the Guinness Money Tin, which I wedge my my phone on when I'm doing a video. So there's a sort of system. A600, that is my actual original one from back in the day, one of the few I've got. Most of the others I've had to rebuy them. Spectrum Next, which is of course a stone cold classic. Monster Joystick, that's what I usually use for most games. Really cool. I know it's not retro, but it's a really nice one to use. I didn't get the Samboire stick, which I probably should have. I think it's a better joystick in this one, but it still works pretty well, and the buttons are nice. So yeah, there's the old ZX Spectrum taking centre stage, rightly so. My favourite computer of all time. Has the most memories for me. That's what I used to play the most, really. And the TI-99, which I showed on another video. That's where it all started. When, as a family computer, we absolutely loved that thing. So that's set up on there. Everything all works, which I like to. I'm a collector, but I also like to basically. I mainly buy things which I had back in the day, and then a few other games which I missed out on. So the systems are all basically stuff I had. So yeah, that's rebought. Spectrum was rebought, and then over this side, this was the very beginnings for me, which was a Pong clone, which works with the batteries in. Yeah, and that telly, that was a really good purchase of mine, because that Ferguson was actually, I bought that quite recently, but it was actually the very first big purchase I made when I was a kid. And I remember paying 45 quid for it from Argos. It took a lot of saving, and I managed to find a good one on eBay recently. And the sort of amusing thing was that it was actually £45 delivered. So I paid the same for the telly in the 2022 than what I did back in, I don't know, probably late 70s, I expect, black and white TV. But yeah, it pairs really well with this, which is what we had. That was our first ever games machine when we were kids. We absolutely loved it. Still love it now, actually. We do still play this, especially if my sister comes round or anything like that. We really enjoy the old Pong, playing a bit of tennis and what have you. So yeah, I got that one. That's my SNES, which is my original one, which is quite cool. That used to go everywhere. Used to always sling that in my backpack, take it around to mates' houses. Never looked after it. Used to just get chucked about. Didn't used to bother sort of wrapping any protective stuff around it back in the day, but it lives to tell a tale, and it's coloured, but it's in pretty good nick, and it still works, which is quite cool. PlayStation, which I bought. Oh, sorry, excuse the racket of that game in the background. I got that in a little sort of cash converters type place across the road from me, and it was 20 quid, but it was dirty, really dirty. So it took a lot of cleaning, but it's quite cool. I like playing the old PlayStation. I've got good memories of that. And there I've got the mini versions of both. Stupidly, never play these minis. I do actually. The nostalgia part for me is having the original hardware, really. I've realised that playing on emulators and such likes doesn't really. Just takes away too much of the experience for me. I like having them just because it's kind of a collection thing, and there are some games which might be hard to get, which I might play on them at some point, but for now they're just sort of displayed behind the original ones. And this TV, I just picked this up actually, colour TV. I got it, wasn't what I wanted. I'm after a VHS, a sort of decent, probably a slightly bigger. Sorry, excuse all the sunlight coming in. It's been dark all day and now the sun's coming. Yeah, I want a VHS TV, probably, I don't know if they do smaller than 21 inch, but something a little bit bigger would be nice. But this one I saw on Facebook Marketplace for £5, so I thought, okay, go and get that. Roughest area of my hometown, which is Taunton, so a bit of an experience going over and collecting it. Needed an extremely good clean, but it does the job. It's pretty good. I don't know if I still got it plugged in. Might have switched it off now. Yeah, I'll show you that another time. Anyway, and then here's my sort of games collection. Oh, up here I've got the original box for the grandstand. 2 of my very favourite games on the GameCube, which I've still got my originals of. I think the first Fire Emblem Path of Radiance sells for like 200 quid or something silly now, so I'm glad I never actually got rid of that one. That was the only, I think I kept probably about 2 or 3 GameCube games just because they were my favourites. So I've got that and Resident Evil and a couple others. And Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn was probably the only Nintendo Wii game that I kept, which is good because that's expensive as well. So I wouldn't pay those kind of prices for them now, but I'm glad I kept them because they are a couple of my favourites. I really like turn-based tactics games. As you'll see here, a couple of SNES games and 2 of my favourite PlayStation games. Vandal Hearts, I still need to get the first one, and Terror from the Deep, XCOM. Brilliant game. Got the first one as well, which was better really. Terror from the Deep was a bit too tough, but Enemy Unknown was an absolute classic. So if you haven't got that on PlayStation, really recommend it. Little scan through the old, mainly Specky game collection. Coming along quite well. Again, mainly these are all sort of, that's my little collection of Duro Games, which is a local game developer, and he made some great games. A few more Duro games there, Rebel Star, some of my absolute favourites in there. And this one, of course, if you're into a bit of homebrew, Redshift is the pinnacle in my opinion. I've got the big box of it as well, which I'll show you in a sec if I can see it. There we go. I know some of the guys that I follow, if they do watch this, you'll like this. That's the big box version, which is pretty cool. Can't remember what's inside it because I tend to just play the cassette. There we go. Multimedia CD. Oops. Excuse the sound of the beers. Poster, which I might put that up actually. What's that? Nice little manual there. Never even looked through it. Probably should. And little sticker. Yeah, glad to have that version of it because yeah, for me that's the ultimate homebrew game is Redshift. Absolutely love that game. So that's that. And the other big box one I've got of homebrew is Tokimel, which I'm hoping to trade at some point because it's a great game, but I actually find it a bit too hard for me. I'm not that good at platformers, which sort of need perfect control on, and it's quite tough, I find, this one. So yeah, might come available for trade at some point. There's a few big box homebrew games that I will be after, so might try and trade that one. Anyway, that's a little look around my retro room. So I hope you enjoyed a little nose around. Oh, by the way, that is a Argentinian sweet, which my wife bought back recently. Lovely. I call them turds. I'll show you why. Bloody tasty, but they do look a bit... There we go, look. Dulce de leche. Super tasty. Anyway, last little look around the retro room. Oh, hang on. Spectrum Next games. Need to get more of those, but that's the story so far. Bikers is great. And the best Spectrum Next game so far for me is Delta Shadow. Oh yeah, and that is some of my TI-99 collection. Some great games in there. I might do another video on those at some point. Atari Soft always come in these weird carts, which are quite cool, but no name on the outside, so a bit of a pain really. Anyway, last little look around. Thanks for watching. See you another time.